But that also has to be very draining too.
It can be if I don't keep myself grounded and maintain boundaries. So I also have gotten better with age and experience in ignoring boundaries and getting hurt or getting knocked around, where I'm not responsible for other people's emotions.
I know that's right.
I'm not responsible for how you react to things. I'm responsible for me.
So
when I hear about people talking sometimes, telling stories about he made me feel this way or she made me feel that way, I'm like, they didn't make you feel nothing. They didn't make you feel nothing. That came from inside of you. They did not do anything that you did not already have inside of you.
True.
You're just mad because they pushed the button. So this young woman was talking about, she was doing seismic readings, and there was actually record-breaking seismic activity. And the way the report looks, very, very broadly, is almost like this. So
and it was like all blue or something like that?
A lot of it was blue or something, or blue-gray, and then all these little vertical spikes. And she was talking about, for 2 days, these readings came out solid. Like, I am definitely of the belief that, well, it kind of also ties in with something that I've always, I heard Oprah Winfrey said years ago. I believe that we're the collective consciousness of the planet is awakening.
I agree.
think everyone,
I agree.
at a soul level, we have been dragging our knuckles out of primordial slime for 2,000 years. We're in the age of Aquarius as of February 2021. We were in Pisces for 2,000 years. So it was rigidity, structure, hierarchy, predictability, regularity. And now the main, one of the primary traits of Aquarius is change.
A big change is coming.
Constant
Everything that we're
change,
knowing
but,
is
like,
changing.
Ain't nobody keeping a job, want to get it. They're like, it, you going to disrespect me? Get
Be
the
mad.
Fuck off. Right? Like,
Be mad about this rent. Be mad about these bills. Be mad about these kids. Everybody.
And so that bodes well for people who like constant going. More and more people who are coming out talking about their diagnosis of ADHD and discussing it openly, because you have to have that next thing to focus on.
The
And
animals are
joining,
waking up.
they
The
are-
earth is waking
Yes.
up. Trees. I see videos of trees moving. I posted a video a little while ago. I was sitting on a bench and a tree tapped me.
Yes.
And I didn't see it
Yes.
at first. I was like, what's Joker tapping me? And then when you see videos of the leaves actually waking up, and they say animals can hear you and feel, plants can hear you and feel you, it's like
Yes.
they're waking up and we're waking up to
I think
them.
all of nature speaks to each other.
Yes.
All of nature speaks to each other, regardless of species. And
I agree.
think it just moves around.
There is a guy that I just started following yesterday online, and he is a black scuba diver, which is rare in itself. And when he's dancing, it's with the animals, it's like they're kind of like, I'm cool, you're cool. You know, it's a vibe, it's an energy. He's just in the water with them.
Yes.
There's no need to touch them. They don't touch him. And they're just vibing out, chilling.
It seems like those deep divers that get the most, that attract the most interaction from, octopus, squid,
Yeah.
fish in general, the marine life, are the ones that just respect it, and they understand they're a guest. This is not your house. You better act right.
I'm letting you stay here.
Hang out. You're in their territory,
Yep.
and they respect that. And so that, I think that humility is an energy that they can sense, that they're really not there to cause problems or to be predatory. They're just there to like, oh my God, look how amazing you are. And the fact that you would even interact with me is miraculous.
It is. It's absolutely amazing. Just like New York.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool fucking place.
Love
A couple of nights, my roommate Jim and I sat on the roof because just we have that view of that from our roof.
You said that you forgot about this place. Sometimes do you forget, like, there are people who dream of living here their whole life. But no, you were that person. You were that person that dreamed of living here when you were younger. How old were you when you came?
30.
You were 30.
Or either I had just turned 30 or it was 2005. Yeah, 31.
And you said you were coming from Louisiana.
So specifically, my parents both grew up in New Orleans.
I love New Orleans.
Parents,
I fit right in New Orleans.
Yes,
I don't have to explain to anybody what I am. They know.
That's
Yes,
it.
yes.
You're just enough of a character. You're definitely a personality.
That's it.
So yeah, you're seamless there. My parents grew up in New Orleans. I grew up in Metairie. So
Okay.
my mother grew up on Royal Street in the Bywater, which is outside the Marigny, which is outside the Quarter. So you have the French Quarter, and then closer to the water is the Marigny, the Faubourg Marigny, and then you have the Bywater because it's by the water. And then my father grew up in the Irish Channel, which looked very different in
Irish
the 50s.
Channel? I've never even heard
So
of
the
that.
Irish Channel, have you heard of Magazine Street?
No.
Okay, so Magazine Street is, so it's not very far from Canal, St. Charles and Canal.
Mhm.
So if you're familiar with those,
I
then
do
you're
know
not
that.
far from Magazine Street. You're
Okay.
right there. And Magazine Street in the 50s was a very different place. And so was the Irish Channel. So it was a very rough and tumble neighborhood. And then after he grew up and got his job, he had gone to the Navy and got out of the Navy. They both ended up in Metairie together, and they got married and had kids in Metairie. So Metairie is actually another notable person from Metairie is Ellen DeGeneres. Actually, lived in Metairie for a while.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I would never have guessed she was from New Orleans. I mean, from Louisiana.
She's
never.
kind of hop around. Well, we also forget Britney Spears is from Kentwood, Louisiana.
I know about Britney. I know Britney. I always thought that Ellen was from California. I don't know why.
She may also. I mean, you eventually have to leave Louisiana
in order to do
whether
something.
you're a comedian, a singer, a pop star, or a drag queen. You got to leave Louisiana if you're going to hit bigger opportunities. So, I always said New Orleans is like a little big city. It's a global port. There are. You've got piers in less than a mile from a rail system with major imports coming in. You have all these different cultures, so it's predominantly it was European, Spanish, French, and then Pacific Islander, Caribbean, African, all this mix.
And you could feel it. You could feel one big gumbo pot. Just come on through. Just be you.
I see what you did
That's
there.
That's good. When we first met online, first give everybody your hashtag.
I forgot. Oh, now the first one or the one I have now?
The one you have now, you had two?
Yeah, so I changed it. 'Cause I saw this hysterical clip of this ridiculously talented British actress who's been all over the map, stage and screen. And there was this clip of her. She was a lady at the head of her dining table, right?
Uh-huh.
So they set down this gorgeous porcelain plate, and they pour in the female dining attendant comes over and opens the bottle of vodka and pours in some vodka. Now, keep in mind, she's in Victorian era, so she's got the feathers and the wispy dress and all this kind of stuff at the end of the table. And then someone else comes in and spoons in some ice, and they assemble what is essentially a martini in this bowl. And she says, tell Crenshaw the consomme is sublime, or something like that.
Tell Crenshaw.
Crenshaw, whatever the
vodka.
chef is.
It's Tanqueray. It's Tanqueray.
So that's the name of my handle now, is Martini Soup.
I love that. A little bit of class, but if you lift the lid up, That's not what you think. Love that. Love that.
Martini soup.
Love
So
that.
So, and I think the first one was what? Bevy of Kevy or something like
I
that?
can't remember the name.
I don't remember.
I didn't even know you switched on me. So we met on TikTok. And the first time I met you on TikTok, you stitched my video.
Yes, I did.
You stitched my video. It was about the 50th house, where I was saying that I wish I had knew this when I was younger, that the people who make it are the people that go for it. It's not the people who have the most talented and they go for it. And I remember your stitch was you went for it and you left Louisiana and came to New York. When you used to see New York, what did you think?
I love visiting, but I would never want to live here.
Really?
I said it for years. So I would vacation in New York. I had several trips, and some of it was to see my sister who came. She studied musical theater here. She went to the American Musical and Dramatic Academy. And so she actually moved up here before I did, well before I did. But when I would come and visit, and I visit for theater, love theater. I went into way too much credit card debt, paying for Broadway shows and off-Broadway and off-Broadway, and they were all worth it. Oh my God. I did get to see some amazing theater. Brian Dennehy in Death of a Salesman. I sat right behind Barbara Walters for that. She came in with the coif, the blonde coif, hairspray coif. The diamonds, you see the diamonds for sure, and then she had her fur coat on, because I guess she was still cold in the theater. But yeah, and we're talking 1990s now. You keep in mind this is that long ago.
But still, it counts.
Yeah, that was. I never wanted to move here. I never wanted to. Yeah.
But what brought you here?
Fear of regret.
Yeah,
Fear of regret.
that's it.
I'd say disappointment is preferable to regret. So I would rather get here, find out, and then say, okay, well, I did it. Because either way, I've won.
Correct.
Because
Correct.
I didn't
Correct.
want the regret, so I have
Correct.
no regrets. And I think between my never wanting to move here and my deciding, okay, I'm going to give it a shot, I'm going to do it. And I will also fully disclose that it was easy when I got to move in with my sister and her husband. My sister had gotten married in the meantime and moved back to the States. So she had married in London and moved back to the States, to New York. And she told him, look, I got a career. I'm a musical theater actress. I'm auditioning and I want to be back there. And so so I had a place to crash. It wasn't like I just got a one-way ticket and did that, but weight was lost. Lots of weight was lost. A lot. Because I was up to like 5 or 6 cups of coffee a day. Like this whole idea that New Yorkers live on coffee and bagels.
And you did it. You had to
coffee. That's just coffee at that point.
You had to do it. I'm in New York now, so I got to do what they do.
Yeah, you got to do what they do. So someone in the salon that I was working at, it was a client, and at that point, Kevin Aucoin, this was back when I was still an active makeup artist, so that was a whole career of mine.
You've had three, how many careers have you had?
So I moved from makeup to, I'm a licensed esthetician, so lots of skincare and makeup and anything related to skin and beauty, I love.
That's why your skin looks like
that. I got very lucky in the genetic department. My mother and father, my mother's side especially, they age very well. So that was what he said was, he said, because I was talking about Kevin Aucoin at the time. He knew, and I had met Kevin Aucoin, but he said, well, would Kevin Aucoin, because I think I made some comment, just very presumptuous at the time, saying, well, why don't you max out where you are first, and then you can, branch out. And he said, well, do you really think that Kevin Aucoin would have had the same opportunities here as he did in New York City? And I thought, oh, okay, yeah, that's fair enough.
You said it earlier, you got to get out.
Yeah, you have to do it.
You have to move out if you're going to make it.
And that's what I did.
What changes have you seen in New York? Because you've been here for a while.
Ooh, yeah.
Do you like the changes?
Well, it's mixed. So there are pros and cons to everything.
Yeah.
There's too often a trade-off, human beings always come with baggage and trade-off for everything. We want things to be, but improvement requires change.
Correct.
And a lot of people are averse to change. You can have change without improvement, but if you want something better, then you automatically, by nature, are saying, I need something different.
Yeah.
So to just move with that flow and go with it. So I didn't come when Times Square was a mess. That was before me. I came right as gentrification was starting in Harlem, because I lived in Harlem for 8 years. And so once the Starbucks goes in, you're like,
That's it. And when there's people out running in the morning, that's it.
yeah.
Those 2 things. Baby, you better find at least somewhere else to get a better job.
Yes,
it's coming.
Something, yeah. Oh, there was a multi-million-dollar apartment complex that went up a couple of blocks from our apartment, and we just knew, we're like, okay, it may take another 5 or 6 years, but everything is going to change now. So things that have changed, just a lot of growth and development. The negative to that, the positives are, okay, you have more than ever.
Yeah.
You have more people opening businesses. You have more food places, more variety of food places, more art, more culture, more options. The onset of Uber has taken place nationally. That has helped a lot in New York City, especially when you need somewhere and you need somewhere now. That you can lock it in. They usually don't say no, which was a problem with taxi cabs.
Oh, I got what you're saying, because before, I got you. No more standing in the corner waving your hand to get denied.
You could just order it up on your phone. Where the flip side is that I think the new architecture is just abysmal. It is so cookie cutter. Whereas you see the Corinthian columns and the Doric columns and the older architecture, even in churches. I'm not religious at all.
But you can still appreciate it.
The buildings are exquisite. The buildings are sublime. And you just don't see that anymore. It's just get it up as fast as we can.
And when it gets old, tear it down, put up
and then
something else.
yes. And then the flip side to that is that at least they have amenities now.
True.
So the newer ones, you have a gym in the building, you have a dishwasher, a washer and a dryer stackable unit. You don't have to schlep everything down to a laundromat.
So we were walking up here and I saw the most snazzy laundromat. They like the laundry, it was new. And I'm like, okay, I've never seen that before. That's not what laundromats
money in
look
a
like.
laundromat.
Oh my
There
goodness.
is money in a laundromat.
Oh my goodness.
That's one thing that hasn't changed.
Statue of Liberty?
Statue of Liberty. Every chance I get. Every chance when I come in and out of Brooklyn, my F train, there are 2 or 3 stops where you're above ground, so I always look out for her. She's a lot smaller from the train, but...
Do you say a little prayer or say a little mantra?
Only nothing different than I say all day, because I see 11s all day on my phone. I see divine number, they call them angel numbers, 1111 or 1212 or 811. So that started back in 2016, 2017, and I just always say thank you. I thank God for my health, for wisdom, guidance, protection, for that as a reminder that I get to see that all the time, where some people have only ever seen it on TV.
One of the things a couple things that drew me to you, one of the big things is you are very, very mindful of those around you. You're very in tune with those around you. You are very mindful with your words. You are very aware of other people's struggles, their highs and their lows. Have you always been like that? You seem to be the type of person, like, if I know it, I want you to know it.
Yes, I love paying it forward. The only thing I can measure it in is just feelings, from myself. Just caring about people. I rate very high if you do psych testing on me for employment, and I've had 2, because they're generally sales organizations like to know where they're members of their team, and there are different profile archetypes, like personality archetypes. You have your Myers-Briggs testing, that type of thing. But I rate very high on empathy and compassion.
Yes. Yes, I could tell that through the phone. I could tell that through the phone. But that also has to be very draining too.
It can be if I don't keep myself grounded and maintain boundaries. So I also have gotten better with age and experience in ignoring boundaries and getting hurt or getting knocked around, where I'm not responsible for other people's emotions.
I know that's right.
I'm not responsible for how you react to things. I'm responsible for me.
I know that's
So when
right.
I hear about people talking sometimes, telling stories about he made me feel this way or she made me feel that way, I'm like, they didn't make you feel nothing. They didn't make you feel nothing. That came from inside of you. They did not do anything that you did not already have inside of you.
True. So
You're just mad because they pushed the button. It's like the same load of laundry going around in the dryer.
Now. Every dude you run into.
Everyone. Sounds like you're where's the common denominator here? Now on that, and even on that topic, I think that there are times you call to you.
Yes.
Situations that your highest self has drawn to, attracted to you, to help you, to allow you. You're creating it. You're manifesting.
I agree.
So it's a question of, are you manifesting consciously, and is this really what you like? What's really going on there?
I always get douchebags. Maybe you like douchebags. Just admit that. Every woman I date is a drama queen. You like drama queens. It's okay. Just admit it.
Finally sat down to watch Taming of the Shrew with Richard Burton and Elizabeth Taylor.
Okay.
The topic is of a male being alpha over a female, and you never really understand why she was the way she was. She was just this very loud, boisterous woman who needed to be handled, right? She was this eldest daughter of this merchant, this wealthy Italian merchant.
She's a woman.
She needs to be broken in, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, already I have issues with this in 2023.
Already.
I get it. The costumes are beautiful. The makeup is lovely. The hair is fabulous.
But the storyline.
But so, and it was just, it's Shakespeare. So a lot of it is just very, I know I would generally catch it. It's a lot. You have to be ready, and I probably wasn't in a headspace to watch it. So Elizabeth Taylor, we're talking about addicted to drama. Elizabeth Taylor, we all have most people have some kind of addiction, some kind of attachment. If you don't want to call it an addiction, you have an attachment to something chemical, something material, something experiential. For her, it was falling in love. And she was asked in a
That's why
later
she's married 8 times, right?
8 times. 8 times. And she don't care. She's swimming in money. I mean, did you see the diamond that Richard Burton got like that?
Her perfume was diamond. That's
Woo,
why.
diamond. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
These have always brought me luck. I get the hell so you got.
I get 2 bottles.
Yeah, it's too.
Yes.
I get 2. So that also reminds me of why, and Oprah Winfrey said this a number of times, that she would go back and reread things because you get things in a different way at a deeper level.
Yes.
When you revisit a movie or a book or a story or something, you go back and you're like, that's new. That's new. That wasn't in there, but
because
it was.
now you're like when you watch movies, when you watch cartoons as a kid, and now you look at it as an adult. Like, I don't remember that before. I don't remember that scene. I don't remember what that meant. Now I get it.
Because it was for your mother.
It was for your
It was
mother.
for your parents. It was for the adults.
You didn't have enough life experience to make the connection on what that meant.
You didn't know why Mama was. Oh, Mama thinks it's funny too.
You know what also gets me like that? The Simpsons. The Simpsons and Family Guy. People think you have to be. People think it's a dumbed down cartoon, but it's not.
Very smart.
You have to be into the news. You have to be about current events. You have to know old stuff, new stuff in order to catch on.
Both The Simpsons and Family Guy called out Trump.
They sure did.
And so did, I think, South Park as well, as cartoons go. South Park is in its own genre.
South Park was too much.
Category unto itself.
They did an episode about Michael Jackson. I won't be here no more. I don't. No. I think that was the last episode I ever watched. I said, what?
Just like.
Nope. Never been back.
Probably for me it was Streisand.
What did they say about
Like,
Streisand?
oh, they made her a big Godzilla monster. Because they hated her.
Click.
Like,
I'm not coming back.
methinks two college boys are jealous. A little jealous.
Haters. Haters. Never been back. I don't care about your movie.
Oh, God.
But I love when I get the joke later. That's actually one of my favorite life's moments. Somebody will say something and I'll be like, wait a minute, what did they say? I love that, the delay. I do. Because I don't know, it's just, that person was so
And like
much
you
cooler
react
than
to
me.
it, your whole face reacts too. I'm like, oh, that's what that meant. Like sometimes it's 2 days later. I'm still trying to figure it
That
out.
is so smart.
Trying to
Joel.
put it together, and you're like, that's so clever.
Smart. I want to be their friend.
I
I've
know.
never
I
seen
want to
them
know
again.
that. I wish I had thought of that, right?
And then I guess I think about it because I'll say jokes and they don't land. And I wonder if people do that to me. They're, is that what that crazy girl was saying? Yep, that's what I was saying. How's the dating out here? I just saw your video about you dating, or you went on a date with somebody,
So I
and they
thought it
won't
was
give
a
you
date.
their last name, and that is a red flag.
See, this is, again, I'm 50 in August. I have no idea still. Like, dating.
How? How? You don't know that? That's one of the biggest red flags if they don't give you their last name.
Well, so I'm trying, this is where, boundaries and just self-awareness is. Like, I'm not a big dater right now. And I don't think I ever have been, really. It was just more just show up here and, apps changed everything. So why do I don't even need to leave my apartment.
I know that's right.
When I shared it with friends, they were like, he is married with kids. I was like, no.
Yeah.
And I meant it. I was like,
That delay we were talking about. What? Is that what that
how
was?
dare you? How very dare you? But now I was like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
You're
it all
probably
makes
right.
sense now.
Yeah. And even if he isn't, the no last name thing.
At this point.
No,
Not at this point. At this point, we got to be. If there's hide what? At this point, hide what? From what? Like, if you feel like you can't give me your last name, why am I even talking to you?
Right.
It should be
Yeah.
very simple at this point. I'm not saying I need to know your address right away, but if you can't give me your name, why?
Yeah.
Why?
I think so. Dating is mixed, and I tend to come at it from more of a spiritual perspective. That when you are ready, your energies will find each other. You will be unavoidable. But you both have to be
You have to
in
be
that
ready.
space, because sometimes you meet each other, but the timing is off.
Correct.
You are
Correct.
not the right people yet.
Correct.
And sometimes it's years between your meeting and
Yeah.
you're both realizing you're in a situation where you realize, the hugs take a little bit longer, or the face lingers a little bit longer, cheek to cheek or whatnot. But I think it's easier and harder in New York. Everything with me is a dichotomy, because in New York City, I always say New York City will bring out the best in the best of us and the worst in the worst of
I
us.
could definitely see that.
Yeah.
I can
Because
see
it
that.
is go stress. The word that Elizabeth Gilbert gave in Eat, Pray, Love to New York is achievement. So I think she was fortunate in that she had this relationship with the publisher. So she spent the money on for her advance on the book, taking the actual trip, because the writing of the book for her, that was easy. That was going to be very easy, because it was about her as a woman who had reached a point in her marriage where she realized it was glitz, glamour, chauffeured cars, car services everywhere, and she was in a puddle on her bathroom. The whole thing is true. It's a puddle on her bathroom floor, crying because she's fucking miserable.
Right.
Because none of the attachments were worth anything based on her relationship with her husband. And it was her. She realized. It's kind of like, what was the song, Stranger in My House? Was it Talia? Who was
Tamia.
Tamia. the stranger in my
You're
house.
a stranger
and
in my house. Yeah.
Or could it be that the stranger is me? Could it be I want more for me and you remain the same? So it's the same. It's the
I
same
see what you
idea.
did there.
So I still think of that. I think it's some of the most poetic
That song does
lyrics.
not get enough credit.
It doesn't.
That song
and
does
neither
not
does
get
she.
enough credit. That song is probably one of the most woman
Feminist songs
Songs in the world.
Yes, it really is.
And she's had a couple of great songs. I love her, by the way.
Yeah.
But that song is by far it because, like you said, is the stranger me. And the way she slipped that in there. Because you think the whole song is about her dogging out her husband. And she's like, no, wait a minute.
And then she's like,
What the I can't remember the words,
Yes,
but I remember that realization. Maybe it's me.
yes, and it's a quiet thing.
Yes.
Because it's internal, and
Yes.
so in one moment you're here, and the next moment you're here, but you are in totally different countries,
Yeah.
emotionally and psychologically now, and you cannot go back.
You can.
Because once you walk over that line,
can't
you're
go
done.
back.
You can't go back.
So, did you ever watch that show, Therapy, Couples Therapy? That's on. I believe it's on Showtime.
Okay.
You have to watch it. So
Okay.
what it is really couples in therapy sitting just like this, and the psychiatrist, psychologist is talking to them. It's real people going through therapy, and that's something that I realized from that show. You're done. By the time you get to this point, you're done. You guys have held on to so much scar tissue. Whatever it is you're doing now is pretending.
So that's actually, I did a paper on that in college. So my sister got divorced and she had 3 kids at the time. She still has 3 children. But I was in school, and I forget the course it was, but whatever it might have been psychology, and what I chose to do was a paper on the effects of divorce on children, effects of divorce on children. And I got apparently the holy grail of credible point allocation, which was an interview. So I contacted my sister's marriage therapist, the one she was going to with the ex.
Okay.
And I said, I introduced myself, and I said, I'm not interested in, this is who I am, this is what I'm doing, I'm writing a paper. I know you're my sister, so-and-so is a patient of yours right now. I'm not asking to talk about her, but I just have some questions for you about that kind of thing. And so he according to him, there are a lot of marriages that are saved through marital counseling. A lot of them are not. Sometimes you're just delaying the inevitable.
That's what I picked up.
Yes.
I picked up
In
they're
a lot of
delaying
cases.
the inevitable. Neither one of them want to be the first to say, I'm done. I'm going to push you until you say it. I'm going to push you until you say it. So here we are 10 years later, still pissed off, two new babies. We should have been done with it. So to go into the paper that you wrote, there was a point in time where I was living with my sister, and I was going back and forth between her and staying with my boyfriend at the time. So I would stay with my sister for 4 days, and I would stay with my boyfriend for like 3 or 4 days. And I remember it being so hard to adjust to each house. I remember it like in this house was this set of rules, this house was this set of rules. This house was, we're allowed to do this, we're not allowed to do that. I got to make sure I remember this because I don't have it over there. I don't have it over there. Did your study talk anything about that? Because I really do want to know the effects of that long term on kids who live in 2 different homes.
Yes. So
Because it was a struggle for me as an adult.
yes, and the adult, the parent, if they're healthy, is not only helping the child through the grief of the family, the whole family experience that they lost, the trauma and the stress of that, but they're also dealing with their own stresses of the relationship because they just lost their spouse and the partner that they assume they're going to be with. So the kids, some parents actually do, can say amicably together until the kids have graduated from high. It used to say under no circumstances should you stay together if you feel like you need to be divorced, blah blah blah. And that's arguable according to a marital therapist, because there are husbands and wives who stay together, parents who stay together, just to create that stability, because they're not angry at each other. There's nothing acrimonious about
right.
They're just roommates at this point.
Right.
There's no more passion. So they just figure, we're just going to keep
Wait till
things
the
going
kids-
till the kids are either graduated from high school, or, every situation is different. Maybe this one graduates from high school and then another 2 years later. So you got 3 years total for these two to get out of high school, and then we'll drop the bomb, or we'll decide to do it that way. We'll part ways.
I could see that.
But it's not
being
for everybody, because in a lot of those cases, the cause of divorce is infidelity.
Hold on 1 second. Yes.
Yeah. It's the cause of divorce that it creates acrimony, which is substance abuse, a lot. One of the other is an addict of usually alcohol, or infidelity.
People don't want to talk about moms being alcoholic with wines. Nobody want to talk about that part. I need my glass. That's alcohol behavior.
I need my
I'm almost
glass
there.
of wine. I mean, I medicate, of course, but there's a difference between that and it affecting your job.
Correct.
And once it affects your relationships, your house relationships, your lover relationships, your work, your relationship with your paycheck.
Now we gotta talk about this.
You got it, Brad.
This is a comedy sitcom moment.
Not 1 o'clock somewhere. It's 1 o'clock all day, everywhere.
You get fired, lady.
You are messy.
Yes.
So with the kids, right now my nieces and nephew are children. If again, there's this spectrum where you have acrimony on one side and they're constantly at each other. And then you have this sort of neutral space where it's pick up, drop off, do it, you're driving it in, driving it out. And then you have the section where, and then of course they're everybody gets along, everyone's happy, it's sunshine and roses. It's work no matter what, because you're splitting the time, and it depends on the kids too. It depends on the kids. So usually the younger a child is, the more resilient they are. They can bounce out from it because they haven't gone as far in. Whereas my oldest niece, her father doesn't even realize he's lost her forever.
Really?
And he did it. He's the one who did it. And they're two totally different households, to your point.
That could
The
be
psyche
so
is so
draining.
different. It is. It's exhausting for them as well as for my sister, because my sister is the one who has to buffer it. And she just basically eats a shit sandwich every time he posts some stuff, even right up to like 24, 48 hours before the drop-off, about the timing of it. She's already made plans. So it can be, that part is hard for them, but...
when my niece and nephew get older, I want to ask them about that. Because you see them pack up their backpacks, go to their dad's house. They are 13 now.
Oh yeah, they're coming on at 14, 15. Once the closer they get to 15, 16, they're going to start asking questions. They always do. They always do.
It's funny how when you're growing up, because when I think about things when it comes to me, you see things, but you don't register what it is and what it did to you until later on. And then you're like, oh, that's what happened. That's what that did to me. It's going to be interesting in a couple of years to see how many kids write books about this. How many kids in this that are now adults. That'd be something that you should do. You should start gathering data.
Oh, I have another book I'm thinking about writing.
Third Eye.
Well,
Third Eye.
It's so a friend of mine down in she's outside of Atlanta. She lives in Georgia. Through my previous appointment, she has a friend she's had for 1,000 years, and he's married to his husband, and they just adopted this kid. But his family, his father, he comes from a very affluent black church.
Mm.
And his father had a mistress and a child. And like, did you ever see Scandal with Kerry Washington? There was an episode about that
Them?
kind of thing. Not about them, but it could have been saying it was almost the same. A few changes here and there.
That
but
Law and Order disclaimer. Names have been
names
changed.
have been
to
changed,
protect
but you know somebody out there is relating to all of that.
Right.
Well, he wrote the book about his dad, about the father. Like the father passed, they had the funeral, and there was a ton of. Of course, they stopped talking to him for years because he was gay. Like they ostracized him for a while.
And here, and the man dead in the ground is the one that was the grimy one.
And he's already let them know. The publisher actually, they've not only committed to publishing, they want him to do it in 2 installments because they think it will be that effective.
So you're writing something, is what you're telling me.
Yeah.
You are very much so into African American studies. You've taken on so much more information than the average person out here in the streets. What brought you to it? Because you could cite a name, a date, an event, a struggle, everything. You read a lot of books from African American authors.
Oh, I can't. So late. I need to do better. So the last book I read, I've got Promised Land sitting on my nightstand by President Obama.
Mm.
And the book before that was Beloved. And right before that, it was The Bluest Eye. And I knew I wanted to read Beloved because I had just read The Bluest Eye. So The Bluest Eye was Toni Morrison's first.
Mm.
And some argue that it was her best.
Really?
Yeah. I loved both. They're both different. They're different, but her language in both is economically poetic. So she fits a lot into less space.
Mm-hmm.
Because she goes right to your guts.
Yeah.
She goes right to the guts of everything. I think the doorway through which she walks sometimes, like in The Bluest Eye, it was experiential, it was social, it was observant, anecdotal, whereas Beloved was a shit ton of spirit. And a lot of people didn't get that. People were like, I don't know what it was Gayle King on that Oprah Winfrey show when the movie came out.
Yeah.
Because so many people we all learned about. Like I'm one of them. White America learned about so many books through Oprah Winfrey.
Oh my God, yes.
Oprah.
Yes.
It's because
yes.
of Oprah. I found out about Maya Angelou through Oprah. It was Oprah who opened this whole door.
Yeah.
Because she's in your home every day, and we loved her. And
do you find it hard sometimes reading books by Black people because you don't get the references sometimes?
yeah, so I also made a post about it, and I regret to say I don't remember I think he's actually changed his handle on TikTok. But the clip that I stitched was, it wasn't written for you. And that was a huge thing. When Toni Morrison in the New York Times years ago in an interview said, I'm glad you're here. I'm happy that you came. You're welcome to be here. But I didn't write it for you.
That's
because
it.
she was constantly, even Charlie Rose, people asking, well, when are you going to write about white people? When are you going to write about white people? Like,
Somebody actually
all
asked
the
her.
way off.
Yeah.
Like you would
Yeah.
never ask a white person the same question. When are
Did
you
she
going to write
answer
about
that
white
way?
people?
She answered that way, I believe.
Well, when there was a female, more than once, where
Yeah.
she's like, you have no idea. What I remember, you have the section. She said a lot before and after, but basically, you have no idea how incredibly racist that is to ask a question, because Toni Morrison was another whole level of intellect in academia and as a human observer in bringing a Black story, but a Black female perspective. Yeah. So and I didn't. It always. I didn't get like. I wasn't like angry about it, or I wasn't upset that I couldn't like that part. There was a part of me, even when I was reading, I was like, okay, I just don't get that. Like, Their Eyes Were Watching God by Zora Neale Hurston.
Yeah.
I was like done
Yeah.
at some point. And it was a black female coworker. She had finished reading the book, and we were in the break room. This is back in 1992, 93, and she said, and I was like, oh, what are you reading? And she told me, she showed me. And then after she had finished it, a couple of weeks later, at some point in the near future, she gave me the book. She's like, here you
go.
read it. And it's now I realize what a treasure she gave me, and that was big. And I didn't see that at the time. I was like, oh, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And I read it. I started it immediately, and I'm glad I did. And I could probably again go back and read it again. And it's a totally different book with me here. But in 1992, a black woman handed me this book and said, here. She handed me Their Eyes Were Watching God by Zora Neale Hurston. That is...
I trust you. I trust
yes,
you. I know
yes,
that you can
that's
take
a
this
gift.
in. I know that your mind is ready for it, and I want you to see this.
Yes.
Because I think I like you. I love you.
Probably
I
overrated
appreciate
my intellect at that point. She definitely overrated my intellect. Simmering up to room temperature, occasionally. But
the fact that you were able to acknowledge that is something that, it took me a minute to process, because it's true. There's so many things that black people are scared to share because you're going to tear it down, or you're going to not understand it, or you're going to make fun of me for it, or you're going to take it away from me. And the fact that she was like, I want you to, that's a big deal.
Well, I'm seeing more and more confident contribution to various canons, of literature, especially in writing, and also screenwriting characters, especially in representation on screen and TV. This is really critical. So, Ila Rae, is that her name? Ila Rae, I forget her name now. Oh God, I know her face, her skin. I know. I'll never forget your face, but like the Black Woman sketch show.
Yes.
By women for women,
yes.
right? Okay.
Yes.
So, whereas before it was like you said, you were probably afraid. People were afraid. Black artists and contributors were afraid to have their work torn down or exploited. And hijacked.
Like I gave it to you like this.
Yes.
And you took it and you changed it into this. You took all these characters that represent my family and you turned them into a stereotype.
Because that's when you try and market it to white folks.
Exactly. It happens so often that it's like, no, it's mine.
So, seeing today artistic contributions, especially literary and character creation, by Black people, for Black people, about Black people, it feels like a vindication that, because it doesn't matter if you understand it, because I didn't write it for you.
And here's the thing, you don't understand it because you're so caught in this bubble on who we are that you can't see those things, that when we show you something different, you just can't process it. The writer of that Black Girl Comedy sketch show, I'm not doing anything about hardships, anything about struggle, nothing, because that we're beyond that. Let's move past that. And when you turn into a show, you don't see any of that. You just see Black women
being funny,
acting.
Oh my God.
And then keep in mind, that's my family. Those are my friends. What you see on Law and Order, honey, that's what you made up in your head.
Yeah. Well, it's funny too. So they switch from stereotypes to archetypes. So you still have an archetype is
is the big brassy, the plus size brassy girl.
No, so an archetype.
Because that's the stereotype. So big girls.
So you have the stereotype, which is a negative connotation, and the archetype is broader. So you have okay, so let's look at it this way. You've got your Missy Elliott. You have
Okay.
your Vanessa Williams.
Okay.
You have your Angela Bassett.
Yes.
You have your Cicely Tyson. You have all these archetypes of personality
Okay.
that even if it wasn't just about, because a lot of stories when you see them on film, what we're seeing a lot of times is archetypes. You're seeing representations of personalities,
Right.
and where that person fits. You need your nerdy one, you need the sporty
I got
one,
you.
need
I
the
got you.
the
Spice
hoe.
Girls.
Yeah, it's kind of like that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
So versus character driven, where someone is actually looking, and you notice it on things you watch today. Did that character evolve at all?
Right.
Did anyone in this storyline evolve at all? So some actually did. Some people you would consider the villain or the antagonist, they actually evolve, but they're archetypes. So rather than characters, so even within the Black diaspora,
Yeah.
you see these archetypes. That's what they're writing. as
Because
well.
there is still a flavor to each group. There is still a flavor.
But it's a black archetype. It's a black.
Okay.
It's within that flavor. At least that's my observation.
I get it. I get it.
As a gay white boy.
And then there's
Yeah,
in that
there's
genre too.
There's that.
There's
Correct.
that.
Yes.
Everyone has.
Yeah.
There is a flavor and an essence. I am so glad that we're pulling away from the negative ones, the stereotypes, like you said, and it's more of, if you don't get the joke, that's okay.
The day.
But we're not
for-
going to cry for
I
you no
think-
more.
No.
We're
no,
not going to.
no.
We're not going to be in pain for you anymore. We're not going to cry for you
yeah,
anymore. We're not
yeah.
going to struggle for you no more. But if you don't get the joke, it's okay.
Yeah, and that's fine. If you never get it, that's okay.
That's okay.
That's
I didn't understand that feeling until I tried to watch a Latino comedy show. And I sat there and I tried to watch it and I was like, I don't get the references. And I was like, oh, maybe that's how other people feel. Oh. I was like, I'm not trying to be dense, but I don't know it. I don't know that part. And it kind of opened up my eyes. You don't know what you don't know. And there are certain cultural differences and you can't be expected to know everything unless you're in that world.
That's part of what's fun about living in a material body in this material world is the contrast.
Yes.
You get to see what you like and what you don't like. If you don't want filet in your gumbo, don't put it in. If you don't want okra in your gumbo, leave it out. If you want it extra spicy, add some more Tabasco, add some cayenne. So I'm not going to take anything. I want you to have all the ingredients that you want for your gumbo, and there's more than enough for everyone.
This is your buffet. You
So,
figure out what you
that's
want.
okay, and I don't have to love every pot. That's okay.
That's it.
I don't think you should not be able to eat yours just because you don't love it.
And if more people had that mentality, we would be New York. Rent in New York. Rent in Atlanta has gone so high that me as a grown woman, I have 3 roommates. What is it like for you in New York? I know that they did some protesting, and I want to say they just increased it too, right? Like 3%
They just
or something?
approved ridiculous housing and rent spikes for 1 and 2 year rent leases.
Are people able to really afford that?
In a lot of cases, no. They're pushing further and further out from not just Manhattan, but New York altogether. So in 2020, and I think right now what they're trying, they are those people who are, I think it is, I'm going to sound very conspiracy theory right now, but I think there is a collusion, an unofficial collusion and between those who have the power to make these policy decisions at a city and state level with those people who most benefit from it. And I have zero doubt that there are kickbacks going on. So follow the money, as
That's
always. So with most landlords did not really, to say that they lost money is like saying Jeff Bezos had to pay an extra $1 million for something. When you are swimming in multiple billions,
that one little apartment left empty is not going to mean a thing.
No, right. So what they did not make in 2020 did not put them in the same position as the people who are trying to pay the rent that they're now charging.
Right.
Does that
right.
make sense?
Yeah.
So it's absurd.
So their whole
and-
claim to fame is we have to do this to make up what we lost before.
which is from their perspective factual, but they're presenting it as though they're destitute, like they were hemorrhaging money. There
You're
is no
not.
way you do
You're
not make money as a landlord. You own the building, you pay the taxes, you don't just cover costs. You're charging rates that put money in your pocket on the regular.
Correct.
It's like you can't not make money from a cup of coffee at Starbucks, as they already charge they could redo it 3 times. They're already charging 100% markup. You still making money off of it. Diamonds, alcohol, coffee, that's
Perfume?
perfume. That's capitalism, baby. That's retail turnover.
So don't come crying saying
That's
you
why
lost
I have
everything.
no pity. I don't give a I don't give a Claudia, motherfucking Hudson.
Right.
You have people who are really hustling to make rent and eat. So I don't know how all that's going to play out. It's not nice. It's pushing a lot of people out. I'm very grateful for the situation that I have. I don't know how long it's going to last.
Right. When that new book come out.
This guy, I don't know when that's going to happen, but eventually. I haven't even started it, but that's the other thing too lately is this year is the year of action. You know, the time for proselytizing, evaluating, assessing, discussing, diplomacy is over. And I mean that socially, politically, financially, economically, professionally. Do it.
That's
Get
it.
Fucking done. Just do it.
That's why I wanted to do this.
And
I'm doing it.
Yes, you are doing it. So you're doing it doesn't have to be perfect. The people, but the perfection is in the progress. It's not a singular state of being, because once you get it in one place, you're gonna think, but what if we did it this way next time?
Let me tell you something. I made a post about that recently, but that is the thing that keeps me from being better than I am. Because I get in my own way. I want it to be perfect. I want it to be what I saw it over there. But then when I can't execute that, I give up. And I posted a photo that changed my whole life. It was the inside of the first airplane. The inside of the first airplane were wicker chairs. And something in that photo was like, what am I waiting for? Like, I can't get it perfect. I want to lose some weight. I want to get my hair this way. I want to make sure my outfit looks like this. I want to make sure that it looks like this, and I have this production. No. Stop. Just do it.
Yeah, just take the next steps.
And ever since then, one step at a time, one edit at a time, one set at a time, one, music ad at the time. It's just, and then eventually I'm going to get there.
I mean, if you look,
and this is at 46 years old.
Yes. Yeah, and it's never, I mean, think about it. Think about Tina Turner.
How old was she when she really hit, how old was she? In her 40s, right?
Yes.
When she really
When
went off.
Because it was, I mean, she was already big, she and Ike.
But it was her and Ike.
All of that was, she used as a bounce off for the next huge phase of her life on her own.
Vera Wang, I think she was 40.
Yes. And she trained as a professional ice skater.
No, I didn't know that.
As a figure skater, yes. That's what she was supposed to, that's what her family wanted her to be. And she's like, no, I'm not. She's egg and then she's ag. You're holding back from your purpose because you're preoccupied with perfection.
Yes.
So you're allowing the absence of perfection to impede your purpose.
Yes.
So, and then President Obama said it in an interview, he's met an abundance of people, and you've probably seen the same clip where he's met so many people who, through his lifetime, at various levels of leadership and accomplishment, who could assess the problem very well, who are very articulate in describing it, give you a million ideas on how to fix it and how to resolve it. He said, what I'm looking for always through all that is somebody who will get stuff done. Because we can all sit around talking about it.
I was that person for many years.
And I'm still that. Yeah, in a lot of ways.
Many years. And I didn't understand how my star would fade away. That was the whole thing. I could see that my star would fade away in people's eyes.
It might just show up in a different part of the sky. Did you ever think of that? See, I think that's the biggest mistake we all make, and I still make it, is that we get in our own way. When RuPaul talks about on his show, I think when it comes down to the lip sync, you
Yeah.
have to lip sync for
For
your
your
life.
life.
And what he opens at, even at that in that genre, is don't it up. He's trying to tell you, you already won. You are here. The fact that you are on this stage at all, you're a winner, baby.
He would tell contestant after contestant after contestant, you're thinking too hard about it. You made it
Boom.
here.
Yes.
We picked you for you. Stop trying
Yeah.
to beat them.
Yeah.
And I think I finally got it.
So 2 things someone told me years ago. You're definitely on the way. I think because it depends on where you lay your focus.
Yes.
Your heart and your soul is the engine that's going to get you there. It's just a question of where do you want to turn the steering wheel. So
It's quick
someone
letting it go to
taught
look
me
back. That was
is
my problem.
that
Or
what?
I would let it go to look at somebody else and see what they were doing. Or I would let it go and look back.
so
Go ahead,
So
drop
three,
it on me.
So 3 things. 3 things now. Energy follows intention. So if it's your intent, energy follows intention. So if it is your intention to do something, the universe will conspire to help you make it happen. So where there's a will, there's a way. And the other thing is motivation follows action. I have a harder time with this one. It's like the 10-minute gym rule, where they say go in the gym if you don't feel like it for like 10 minutes, and after 10 minutes, if you still hate being there, then leave.
Right.
But usually after 10 minutes, I'll give it another 5 or 10. And
Because you
by
made
the
it
time the time you know it, you made it through your whole workout.
Correct.
And then the third thing is by a Chinese fellow years ago I met. It was a colleague and a light friend. He had opened a business in Chinatown in beauty, and so I was helping him out with the cosmetic piece. He said the view through the windshield is much bigger than the one through the rear view mirror. And I still have tingles. Because you can always waste time looking back. And most of the time it is.
Say it again so I don't mess it up.
So
Say it again.
the view through your windshield is bigger than the view through your rear view mirror. Isn't that powerful? Isn't that big? And it's true. It's true. But if you're looking for green and only green, you just cut yourself off from a whole bunch of other colors, right? So just focus on the what. The why you already got. You focus on the what. You keep feeling how good it is when you think of the what.
Yes.
And the when and the how is none of my business. The when and the how ain't got nothing to do with me. Everything and nothing. Because we don't control that.
Correct.
We have
Correct.
no control of it.
Correct.
What we do have a sense of power over is how we feel about what it is we want and why do we want that. The why, sometimes we have to sort of recalibrate.
Right.
But in most cases, if you're feeling good about the what, everything else is going to catch up.
You're right.
You just have to be. We
You're
have
right.
to be patient.
You're right.
So who else? Who's next on your list? Who's on
So
your
I
hit
have a
list?
girlfriend of mine that I went to high school with. And then
It's incredible that you still have friends that are from high school.
You gonna see me cry. Like, oh, I know you from high school. I know you from when I went to college. I didn't finish, but when I went, I know you from when I used to live in this town, in this city, and we dated for a little while. And for you to still think highly of me, for those brief moments that I was in your life, it means that I made more connections than I thought.
Yes.
Because sometimes, you walk around and you don't.
You're just being you.
I'm just being me.
You're coming from your.
But you don't realize that people see you. Sometimes you just like, oh, I'm in passing in your life.
It's funny that you say that, especially about high school, because I had a pretty rough time of it. As a fairly feminine gay boy in an all-boys Catholic school in provincial Metairie, Louisiana. And I can think about it now, it's like in the weeks and months following graduation, which in and of itself, the graduation ceremony was turned out to be a shit show for me. There were people who for 4 years had watched, and they were persona non grata.
What does that mean?
They're not in it or out of it. They're just watching, they're just bystander. They weren't mean or rude, but they didn't exactly jump in and help a bitch out. So when in the months after, I'd see some of them, because the French Quarter was my stomping ground.
Okay.
For years, even while they were going to football games and drinking beer, smuggled beer. I was in the French Quarter, Bourbon and St. Anne at the gay bars, 15. Wasn't supposed to be there. I was the felon, and so were they.
Like I was there from the beginning.
Oh, God, that was the best. My friends, my friend, who, he had a sister who's a lesbian, and so he was gay. His sister was a lesbian, had the circle of lesbian friends. One of them brought us down to the pub at Bourbon and St. Anne. And above it was the parade. It still is the parade. So this was back in the 90s too. So it was our late 80s, early 90s. So 89, 90, 91. That's when we started. And it was the pub and the parade. So every weekend, and I didn't touch alcohol until I was 21.
You were just partying.
But it probably helped save me from hurting myself.
Really?
Oh, yeah, in a lot of ways. There were multiple things at that point that kept me in check. It was knowing that I had that as an outlet to go down.
Yes.
And yes, we were chickens at that time. The young gay boys are called chickens.
What does that mean?
A chicken. So when you're like
I know
like a
twigs.
twink, yeah, it's an
I know
older version.
twigs.
This is back. I'm really dating myself now. So yeah, there was that, but it wasn't anything. I wasn't even sexually active until I was in my 20s, and I was literally down there just for mental health,
Being
just for fun, just for joy,
just for
because
laughter
every
and joy and being.
day was so rough. I mean, the rest of it's going in the book. So
I get you.
and then the other pieces at that point were you're going to think I'm insane. The Oprah Winfrey Show saved me a lot, because every day after school I would just chuck my book bag down and watch the Oprah Winfrey Show. But I watched The Color Purple movie probably, it was well over 100 times.
What was it about The Color Purple? I get Oprah. Oprah just gave you a sense of, and I hate that people take this from her. Oprah gave you a sense of, so what, of where you came from.
Yes.
You can push through. Whatever they're talking about, they're going to say it regardless.
Yes.
Push through. You don't have to feed into everybody's narrative. Push through. And that was Oprah for me. Oprah was like, just do you.
Oprah asked the questions that everyone was thinking.
Yes.
That the common housewife of any color was thinking, that she wanted, but she also tied in a lot of her own perspectives and what she loved into that. And she presented, Maya Angelou, another one, which touching back to what was, like Toni Morris, what was not written for people who were not black, is what you're looking at me for didn't come to say, only came to say Happy Easter Day. And she said, when I read that first line, I knew this book was for me, for her to say that. For
Color Purple.
For the color, for the movie,
what was The Color Purple?
It was probably that same trajectory. It was that story, that testament that people who are supposed to take care of you can beat you down. The people that you look to for love can be the very ones that beat you up and beat you down, psychologically, emotionally. But she survived it all. And now let us also keep in mind that the book did not end like the movie.
I read the book, and I hate that I don't remember the ending.
It was not a happy ending.
I don't
He
remember.
did not. Albert never did come around.
Aww.
He stayed in a hole forever.
You know what made me feel like that about The Color Purple? The Color Purple. That line in the movie, I think God gets mad when you walk by the color purple and don't appreciate it. I know I'm paraphrasing.
Yes.
But that line out of that whole book
Yes.
never left me. Like
something about it's a sin
yeah, something
to not
like those.
love the color purple or something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
And that never left me because it made me realize how beautiful everything is. Everything is.
I think that was part of what Shug Avery introduced to Celie.
Yeah,
Because that was Shug Avery's line.
it was.